European regulators taking aim at Microsoft, saying the tech giant violated antitrust rules by bundling its Teams product to other business software. Our Deirdre Bosa is taking a closer look at that for today's Tech Check, as once again, DRI's turn to EU regulation.
Once again, but you know, that strategy is changing towards big tech. It's less break them up, more break them open. It's also becoming a lot more proactive than reactive. And punishments, they're moving from mere speeding tickets to very material fines, up to 10% of annual revenue. Yesterday, EU regulators, they outlined their case against Apple. Today, it's Microsoft. They accuse Microsoft of violating antitrust laws by bundling Teams with its other well-established software tools in Office 365 and Microsoft 365. They say making it extremely difficult for smaller companies like Zoom and Slack to compete, and in turn, that hurts customers. Now, typically, European antitrust regulation has had little to no impact on the mega cap stock prices and business models. But here's why this time could be different and why investors should take note. First, take the potential fines. If, and that's still a big if, charges are brought against them, the fines could be enormous. We've never seen anything like this. 10% of Microsoft's global revenue last fiscal year is $21 billion. For Apple, that number is almost $40 billion. Alphabet, Meta, Amazon, these are the other gatekeepers that the Digital Markets Act, the DMA, is taking aim at. Their potential fines could also be in the tens of billions of dollars. Now, so far, the largest fine ever imposed by EU regulators on a tech company is about $5 billion in 2018 against Google over its Android operating system, which was deemed anti-competitive. This makes it look very small compared to the potential that could happen under the DMA. Now, of course, what I just outlined is worst case scenario. The DMA states that the fines could be up to 10% of global annual revenue, so it could be anywhere below that. Plus, Apple and Microsoft will have the chance to argue its case and propose commitments to avoid potential fines. Microsoft, in a statement today, said that it would work to find solutions to address the Commission's additional concerns. But there are early signs, guys, that tougher regulation and the threat of these massive fines is already having an impact. Apple, remember last week, said it would block the release of Apple Intelligence, iPhone mirroring, and SharePlay screen sharing from users in the EU this year, because the DMA allegedly forces it to downgrade the security of its products and services. Guys, some believe that this is kind of a hostile move from Apple, saying if you're going to impose these stringent restrictions on us, we're not going to give your consumers certain features. Apple, of course, says that it's a security issue, but this is the kind of tit for tat that we can expect going forward now that this DMA, Digital Markets Act, is in place, and it's different than everything that came before it.
So yesterday was Apple, today is Microsoft. Who are you expecting tomorrow or forthcoming in the future?
So the DMA takes a look at gatekeepers, right? So it identified 6 companies or platforms that it sees as gatekeepers, which means that they control who's allowed in the ecosystem and who's on the outside. So for Apple, that means it charges companies a fee to be as part of the App Store. So it's also looking at Meta, Amazon, Alphabet, and ByteDance. I didn't include ByteDance on our list because it's still a private company. We don't know for sure how much annual revenue it has. But again, those fines could be enormous. And the rate at which the EU is moving is quicker and more nimble than we've ever seen. So we could see an Alphabet, a Meta, and Amazon targeted next.
Yeah, it's certainly fast moving. We appreciate you staying on top of it all, Deirdre Bosa.